Welcome to episode 2 of Boom Bap on the Border, an El Paso hip-hop story. On this episode, my friends Tito, Marc X, Arkatak, Pooh Heff and Groove answer the question, who are some hip-hop heads that you knew about, and or hung out with? Enjoy.
So within ISM, Robot was big into the design stuff. Steve was the b-boy, and then Bash would always come around, and he was the MC. You know what I mean? And then Hero was like the DJ, and then my brother was like, he was artist, rapper, slash singer. Also. Yeah. So he did his thing, and then for me, I took on the role of, this is where I started doing the mixtapes, because I was just like, man, you know what? Like, I miss all that, like, boom bap stuff, and Robot had connections to getting mixtapes. And so I started buying them. I would pay him. His friend would bring them in from New York. And
who's his friend?
Rob, dude. Rob McCall, the guy that passed away, the guy from Constructive Ruckus.
Producer, yeah.
Rest in
peace, Rob.
Yeah, rest in peace, Rob.
That's his friend you're talking about.
Yeah, because the connection with them was they worked together at the commissary as baggers, okay? Robot's mom always had worked there for a long time. So the job that he would do, he would work there and bag. And he met Rob and all of his crew, and this is where Lincoln comes in, and all these guys, Sugar Bear, and all these guys were connected through them. I knew about them because Robot would tell me, oh, my friend's got this group. And the connection with them was Jamarkus, Willy Waysted. Because when I found out that he was part of their group, I was like, that's my homie. I grew up on the block with him. You know what I mean? So it was funny because it just tied in, and I didn't know Rob or any of these guys in the Northeast. It just connected in a different way through Robot. And Rob would always get mixtapes because he would go out to New York, and he hooked us up. This is where I met the b-boys in this scene. Like, I want to say Ghetto Gabe was part of that, and like when these guys were youngsters. Of course, my boy JR, Artson, had always been in the scene, and he was out there. B-boy Steve was part of it. Back then, Mike Murda was out here, and then my boy Fonzy was out here. So it was like the early ages of that. The b-boy scene was actually like just starting to bubble, and then months or weeks later, I believe that's when you started having jams.
Yeah,
there were like
shortly after is when I had mine. Yeah.
My boys did the again, going back to because b-boy Steve and Danny Danny Martinez, they moved out to Vegas out there because Artson was out there. So the three of them were connecting, and they met a lot of people. So they ended up bringing the Breaking Boundaries,
which is
legendary
documentary in its own.
Yeah,
just for El Paso.
Yeah, and that was the big one. That was the big one that kind of like shifted a lot of things, and it was planned for many months, and like the level of what they brought to the city was interesting, but it all spawned from these little things that we did. At that time, I mean, it was about Fourth Dimension, man. I mean, they kind of were recruiting, whoever was doing stuff. So I mean, they had Exist the Battlecat.
Yeah,
Exist the Battlecat was with them. Obviously DA, the INM, and then you had Paramedik, Pete. Pete was with them. Then it was let's see who else.
Not that I don't know if he was an official member of Fourth Dimension, but you had, of course, like Rick with Flowbee.
Oh yeah, Flowbee. Yeah. He was kind of in that,
which they'll hear on a different episode. But yeah,
in that little gap, just kind of a side note with the connection with Robot and Rob was the connection to Constructive Ruckus. You know what I mean? Where they were doing it big, man. And I mean, they weren't so much doing it big here in El Paso. They were already making moves and connecting to San Diego.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There, Southern California, right?
Sugar Bear, Rob, and then they had the homie Lincoln was involved with these guys. Then you had, of course, Jamarkus, Willy Waysted. They moved out to San Diego, and then Audio Menace was Rob, And shit, what was the other dude?
Because there's Constructive Ruckus.
And then there's Audio Menace. Yeah. But Al Knewman, Al New, he went by Al New. So that was Rob's alias, you know. But shit, man, I can't remember. It was two of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it.
Audio Menace was two.
Yeah. It was Black Rain, Audio Menace, Constructive Ruckus,
like the Northeast
and Fourth Dimension. Those were the groups that were out there before we kind of transitioned and started doing the eye to eye stuff. You know what I mean?
There was a guy that I met. His name was Mike Allen. I thought he was weird because, you know, at lunchtime he would always be walking around and he would act like he had headphones on. He would always be doing like this.
Yeah.
And he would always be beatboxing.
Oh, wow.
And so everybody would always talk about him, you know what I mean? Because he was never with anybody. He was always by himself.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I'm gonna ask him, why is he always doing that? You know what I mean? So I was like, yo, man, what's up with you? Like, you always beatboxing and doing like this?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I just always have these sounds in my head. And when he said that shit, I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I do the same thing.
Okay.
There was another guy that was DJing at the time. His name was Shay.
Shay. All right.
Shay was also from Chicago. And at one point in time, a lot of the early house records was what was popping.
Okay.
Like you had, like, of course, the rap records that were out and all that, but a lot of the dance music was popping. And Shay, he mixed a lot of house music and stuff like that. But his brother, his name was Skip. He used to do KTEP.
Oh wow. Okay.
88.5. So they actually had a radio show.
Dang.
Him and another guy named Chaz Spratt. And they would play like all the Curtis Blow and all the early,
All right.
Grandmaster Flash and all those records. They would play on KTEP. Shay had another brother named Buddha, and they had came up with an idea to have us both do a mix.
Okay.
To play on the radio. And so he took one side 30 minutes on the cassette, I took the other side, and we had the mix play and all that stuff. And me and Shay, we've been cool ever since. Well, Juan started getting into DJing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yep.
Juan started getting into DJing too. He was backing away from he never really backed fully away from breakdancing. He still breakdance to this day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that motherfucker, they probably never gonna stop breakdancing.
Yep.
Back then, the radio station was B94. There was no Power 102. They had a fucking DJ contest, and I went and I tried to get in it, and I lost. I ended up losing to this guy named Jammin Joe Gallegos.
Jammin Joe Gallegos.
Yeah.
Did you know about him prior to this contest or competition?
No, like I just showed up with my records. You know what I mean? And, you know, freestyle was big at that time, man, and he got on there.
He did a freestyle
You know what I mean? And at the time, Chavez was one of the judges. And I kind of thought that I was going to get that contest because me and Charles' younger brother, Mike, we used to hang out.
All right.
Charles Chavez used to live in the Northeast. And, you know, all of the brothers, all the Chavez brothers are DJs.
Really?
Yeah, I think even their dad was a DJ.
Oh, wow.
A friend of mine that's not here no more, his name is Charles Guy.
Okay.
He had 1200s.
Wow, okay.
And he used to live around the corner from where I lived. And so, like, he was the first to get the techniques.
Yeah.
There's a club down there in Juarez that the DJ be playing hip hop sometimes.
Damn.
And I was like, really? So they took me down there to the Old West, and I met the DJ. His name is Joe. His DJ name was Joe Fresh, and he's actually Like he's still DJing over there in Juarez.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Joe Fresh.
Yeah, but it used to be me, Joe, a guy named Manolo. He used to play on the freestyle, and Abel.
Who's Abel?
Abel, I don't know how to say his last name, but he was from a crew called Shamanay.
I remember Shamanay. Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing of him. I was still a youngster.
And Abel used to be down there. He would be playing all the freestyle and the dance and stuff like that.
Dang.
They used to throw a lot of big parties and stuff. And actually, DJ Bass was a part of that Chamonix thing too.
Okay.
Which
Bass?
DJ Bass that does all the car shows and stuff, and he does the mixed connection with
I think I've met
with B-Sly.
Bass, yeah, he's a brother also, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's really like he had a car show scene on lock and all that.
Damn. Okay.
And yeah, he been doing it. He might have been doing it longer than me.
Cause he's about your age too, right?
Yeah. And see, I had met Rob Swift back then. R.I.P. to Rob Swift.
Yeah.
He was part of a crew called HK Hollywood Nights.
I remember that.
Redman is.
We'll bring him in here.
His real name is Mario Machoro. So he was like in touch with all the people that were doing stuff on the east side.
Okay.
And then he would be over here in the north.
Okay. Let's see. So from 97, so Air Force Crew, like I said, that was the first one. And then who else? Black Crooks. I remember the Black Crooks. Constructive Ruckus knew about us, but our connection with Constructive Ruckus was through Marcus, and Marcus was DA's friend. And that was the Northeast crew. So that whole Northeast crew existed. Battlecat, Roz, because Rick always did sound. He's been DJing forever, and he's always had like the speaker system. And I remember that whole crew, which was Flowbee, that whole crew of the Northeast. That was like some of the fucking hardest MCs in the city, dude. And we found them, we all like got better, dude. You know what I'm saying? Because all those dudes were just like, nah, we're just Northeast. Like we're not going to the West Side. We're not going to go to the East Side. Like we represent the North. And if you come here, this is our area. So when you hear about shows and shit or whatever, everybody knew about them in the Northeast. That was that crew. And then I ended up meeting Strange Love from that circle. So it just all the Northeast crew, man. They were good, man. Al Knewman. So Al Knewman from Constructive Ruckus, amazing fucking producer. Rest in peace. I mean, that guy, like his beats were just next level, like top tier fucking Busta Rhymes beats, dude. And when I heard that shit, that motivated me to be better. I wanted to be better. I wanted my shit to sound that good or better, So that was an influence on me. That was the crew that I was around. I remember going to his crib, and Marcus invited me and DA to go and record and do some tracks with this dude. And he had his fucking ASR 10 in his kitchen, like on his stove and shit. Like it was just, you know what I mean? He had a tiny apartment in the Northeast, but he made it work. You can't believe the equipment that he's using to make that. You see what I'm saying? Because it sounded so fucking professional. It was just the sonics, dude. Like the bass and the fucking drums were like fucking boom, like the 808s and all that shit. I'm like, how? This is 1997, dude. 98. Like, where are you getting? What kind of equipment are you using? But yeah. And then we ended up meeting Pooh One, Marc X. So that was the other Northeast, part of the Northeast crew. I mean, of course, and Tito. And you know what? You're right. I did. I met Kerman in from 97 to 99, dude. That's right. Damn, see, my memory's all fucked.
Well, I'm always going to mention my crew. I'm always going to mention Black Rain. We were influential because we were four solo individuals that created So before Black Rain was 8 Shades of Black, which was Mark and Victor. And then Genie came along.
Wait, what was that? 8 Shades of Black?
Yeah, 8 Shades of Black. They were the pro-black rappers in El Paso.
All right.
I used to laugh at that shit.
That's what I want to get. That's what I want to hear.
I used to be like, Victor, man, you ain't even got no black girlfriend. I used to give him a hard time.
Came before Black Rain. I know Black Rain.
Well, Black Rain actually came around because of, well, it was almost a bum record deal, and I was the new kid. So I was living between Dallas and El Paso, and I didn't want to do the pro-black shit. I wanted to do fucked up shit. And so I was a very perverted person. And Genie, when Genie came, Genie was on some demonic shit. So we had 4 different characters, and we somehow made it work. Well, the only crew that I can tell you that was like right there and actually had a great career was Constructive Ruckus. I was a big fan of them. I produced a couple of records. Another group was called Audio Menace.
Yep.
That was with Al New, rest in peace. They were just mad different. There was a bunch of crews at that time, and the only thing that I can tell you that was really because I worked with Constructive Records so close and Audio Menace so close. Those are the reasons why I'm going to mention them before anybody else.
Absolutely.
But there was tons of talent, and here's the thing: we always do our own shows. We would throw our own shows at halls, and we would do, and those shows would be packed. But everybody that's been through Tony Dueñas' studio, so you're telling me it's hard because a lot of the crews that I did, like, you know, like the Giants and everybody like that came, they weren't with the Giants then.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, like DA. No, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there was like when we started doing studio work, there was a gang of crews that came out. You know.
Oh yeah.
Blunt House. Again, there was a good abundance of crews that would do their own shows.
Who are the members of Black Rain?
It is DJ Marc X, myself, Victor, or Sight, and Genie.
Genie.
So Genie used to be, okay, so you know Adrian from Guitar Center?
No. Oh, yeah. Adrian,
that services every fucking DJ in El Paso?
Yeah, I know. He's cool.
Genie and B-Sly. Them two used to be a rap duo. A long ass time.
I know this. I know. I gotta get him on the show now.
No, you need to forget B-Sly because B-Sly orchestrated. He was a DJ for years. I mean, he was a DJ when we were in high school. He was the Hispanic cat walking around with all this Raiders shit. Like, he's a for real Raiders fan, like from that long ago. Yeah. He would walk around, and he's the first house party I've ever went to. He used to live on Cumbra Negra, right there by Albertsons. You know what I'm talking about?
Montwood.
He used to live, and that was somehow. Me and my man Big J and Raul went to this house party. This motherfucker was playing the most gangster rap that I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, this motherfucker dude is dope. Me and him just became friends, not close, but our interest was music, and he was a producer. So he was doing this shit before me too. And I was like, so I learned from all these dudes. And Genie, the reason why Genie is close to me is because I was best friends with his brother that got murdered. And so when his brother got murdered, me and him just became extra close.
James Stroman went to Andrus, and he was in that group Rockbox. And that consisted of Chris, James, Buddha, Jeff, and Frank. Buddha J, Buddha Johnson, his brother, his older brother Skeet, was the one that was bringing down these, they called it the Uncle Sam Jams. And there would be these, these concerts. And they would hold it at Fort Bliss. And then I think Power 102 got involved. I think there was a little lawsuit or something, because of the name, but the Johnsons, big family here in El Paso, they used to bring down exhibition NBA games. So they were involved in that, doing the shows, but one of the brothers, Buddha, keyboard player, and he was in that group Rockbox. So that was my first introduction to as far as any kind of organized group. Used to hang out with them, try to DJ for them a little bit, do some little beats. And then the other group that, amazing group, Black Rain. I don't know if you're familiar with them. That was Pooh Heff, Marc X, Austin. God, I don't know his last name, but they called him Sight. And then Tony Duenas. There was another guy. I can't remember his name, but then there was also Tony Duenas, who was he was the record. He would record. He had a little home studio, surrealistic, and he was kind of like the fifth member of them. So meeting Tony, me and my boy Chris, eventually, him and I would do music, and we would go to Tony's to record. Because again, back then, not everybody had laptops that you could record. If you wanted to go somewhere and record, they needed a little mixing board, they needed the mics, they needed all the equipment to get a good, clean recording, not like nowadays.